My father called me useless. 20 years later he begged me. When I was 10 years old, my father looked straight into my eyes and said something I would never forget. You are useless, he said coldly. You will never become anything in life. Those words cut deeper than a knife. I stood there quietly in our small living room. The walls were old. The roof leaked when it rained. My mother was standing behind me, holding the edge of her wrapper tightly. She didn't say anything, but I could see the tears in her eyes. That night, I could not sleep. I lay on the small mattress beside my mother. The room was dark except for the weak light from a small kerosene lamp. I heard my mother crying softly. She thought I was asleep. I wanted to tell her that everything would be okay, but I was just a child. My chest felt heavy. The only thing I could do was close my eyes and pretend I was sleeping. The next morning, my father packed his clothes. He didn't say goodbye. He didn't hug me. He didn't even look at my mother. He simply carried his bag, walked out of the house, and disappeared from our lives. Just like that. Life became very hard after he left. My mother started selling vegetables by the roadside. Every morning before the sun came up, she would wake me. Come, my son, she would say gently. Let us go to the market. We would carry baskets of tomatoes, peppers, and onions to a small wooden stall beside the dusty road. Sometimes customers came. Sometimes they didn't. On days when business was bad, we ate only once. But my mother never complained. One night while I was studying, the electricity went out. The whole street became dark. I closed my book in frustration. How will I study now? I said. My mother looked at me for a moment. Then she smiled. Wait here, she said. She went outside and returned with a small lantern. She placed it on the table. The weak yellow light filled the room. She looked at me and said words that changed my life forever. Study hard, she said softly. Your future will change your story. From that day, I promised myself something. I would prove my father wrong. I studied everywhere. I studied at night under the lantern. I studied under street lights when there was no fuel for the lamp. I studied while helping my mother at the market. Years passed. Slowly, things began to change. I finished secondary school with the best results in my class. A scholarship helped me get into university. My mother cried the day I received the admission letter. Not tears of pain this time, but tears of joy. University was not easy. Sometimes I didn't have money for food. Sometimes I walked long distances because I couldn't afford transport. But I remembered my mother's words. Your future will change your story. And I kept going. Years later, I graduated. Then I got my first job. Then another opportunity came. And another. Life slowly turned around. One day, I was sitting in my office on the top floor of a tall building. The view from the window showed the busy city below. My secretary knocked on the door. Sir, she said, there is an elderly man outside. He says he really needs to see you. Does he have an appointment? I asked. No, she replied. But he looks desperate. I sighed. Let him come in. A few seconds later, the door opened. An old man walked into the room slowly. His clothes were old and worn. His shoulders were bent. His hands were shaking. He stood quietly in front of my desk. Then he slowly lifted his head. The moment I saw his face, my heart stopped. It was my father, but he looked nothing like the man I remembered. His hair was gray. His face was full of wrinkles. The strong, proud man who once walked out on us was gone. This man looked broken. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, he lowered his eyes. I heard you are very successful now, he said quietly. I said nothing. He swallowed hard. Life has been difficult, he continued. I lost my job years ago. The people I trusted betrayed me. His voice began to shake. I have nowhere to go, and no one to help me. Then something happened that I never expected. The same man who once called me useless slowly fell to his knees. Please, he said, his voice breaking. Help me. The room became silent. 20 years ago, I was just a small boy standing in a broken house. And the man in front of me told me I would never become anything. Now that same man was kneeling in my office, begging me for help. Life truly has a strange way of changing stories. I stood up slowly and walked toward him. For a long moment, I simply looked at him. Then I took a deep breath, and I said the one thing he never expected to hear. Stand up, Father, because sometimes the greatest victory is not revenge,